decided to release a season of Gundam Build Fighters every year, I would not have a problem with it, because if it continues to be as fun as this series is right here, then bring it on. This week's episode was a lot of fun. Just like the rest of the series, its characters were funny, infectious, there were a lot of exciting and awesome action scenes, and they're also starting to throw in a little bit of mystery, because it looks like there's going to be a brand new villain for the season. This weird, crazy fighter who has a composite Gundam made out of random parts from various different mobile suits. And before we even get to him, let's talk about that opening and ending. They were great. And correct me if I'm wrong, but they've been teasing at the fact that Sekai's master is heavily influenced by Domon Kashu from G Gundam. Not only in the phrases that Sekai himself is saying, but the fact that in the intro they clearly show his master hanging out on this cliff over an ocean. It's totally stereotypical for a martial arts master to do, but if anyone can get away with it, it is Domon, my fist is burning red Kashu, and if it is him, holy crap, best Gundam ever. It's not enough that we already had a version of Ramba Ral in the show, but if they somehow managed to get Domon Kashu in here, I'm so freaking excited for that. So the main story this week is that the main goon Miyagi, no relation to the martial arts master who trained Ralph Macchio, is trying to shut down the Gunpla Battle Club. And how is he going to do that? Well, he's going to have another Gunpla battle with them. It was all inevitable. This is pretty much how they solve every single problem in Gundam Build Fighters. And I'm okay with that because it's always really exciting. But the main conflict here is that Yuma is still trying to decide what the hell he's trying to do with himself. Does he want to do Gunpla anymore? Does he just want to build models? Is he doing it all just because he has the hots for Hoshino? Because that's pretty freaking obvious. It's kind of hard to say, but eventually it does all lead to a really exciting battle. And it also has some really great cameos from some very obscure mobile suits. First up is that Hobby Hyzak, which is that weird, strange-colored Zaku, which was originally seen in Char's counterattack. I really liked seeing that, even though it basically just flew out, got shot once, and that was the end of that battle. But it was still pretty awesome just to see that. And even Miyagi himself is using an upgraded version of his mobile suit from Gundam 00. It's using that mobile armor that turns it into a big spider, which tries to dominate the battlefield. And throughout most of this battle, basically what Sekai is trying to do is he's trying to convince Yuma to join their side with his fists, because that's just the way he does things. And of course it results in a great battle between the Build Burning Gundam, and then we have the Lightning Gundam. That's actually the name of Yuma's mobile suit. And it seems to be a variant on the Zeta Gundam, or like the mass-produced versions of the Zeta Gundam that came later in the various parts of the series. It definitely has elements of that, especially on its face, just in its armor, and the fact that it has a big-ass sniper rifle, and that happens to be Yuma's skills. He's a sniper! And what's also really cool is before this battle, we get this one little scene where apparently we get to see Chino when she's a little bit older. She basically just looks like a taller version of herself. And this is basically the first real character aside from Tatsuya Yuki from the first episode who, thank you guys for letting me know about that in the comments. I didn't even notice that the first time I watched it, but then when I watched it again with a group of friends on Friday, we all saw it, and it was amazing. During the battle, while Hoshino is being tortured by this massive spider, Yuma finally gets over his funk and decides to fight back, and actually takes out Miyagi in one shot. This is all followed eventually by Sekai doing this really awesome kick, which totally goes in line with the whole Domon Kashu thing. I really can't wait to see how that part of the series is going to evolve. And then make sure to stay around after the credits, because they are going to be doing those scenes again, where you actually get to see Yuma formally joining the group. Although, it's definitely played for laughs, but I like that, because this is a show that knows to have a lot of fun. So, what's the rundown on this week's episode of Gundam Build Fighters? So good, very good. I love the characters in this show especially. I was really afraid that when Sei and Reiji were going to be sort of like not the main focus of the story anymore, that it wasn't going to be interesting, but they're managing to make it interesting with these brand new characters. There's still a lot of mystery behind Sekai, just the fact that he looks like Reiji, although he seems to have his own family life going on, like him and his sister live on their own. They don't show their parents quite yet. They're not really getting into that. Maybe he literally does live with his martial arts master. They're not really getting into his backstory, and I like that. I can't wait to see if he is going to have some sort of relation to Reiji. Yuma himself is literally just a male version of China in every single way. But that still makes him an interesting character. The only difference between them is that, you know, maybe he's just a little more badass in the fact that he's a pretty good pilot or battler at Gunpla. I gotta remember that they're actually not piloting the units, but it always feels like that when they're actually, like, playing the game. I actually like that when they're controlling the orbs and the controls and stuff. It actually looks like they're within a cockpit, and they even have their little, like, battle of ideologies like they do on the battlefield, like in Gundam, and I just love that. That's the thing. This series has a lot of really, like, obvious references and non-so-subtle references. Just like the scene with Yuma and Hoshino when they're standing outside in the cherry blossoms. Is anyone else thinking of Kira and Athrun when they see that scene? It's so freaking obvious. And it is just kind of stereotypical of anime in itself. But seeing as how this show does have a little bit of tongue-in-cheek humor built into it, I think that's okay and it can get away with that. Just the fact that at the end of the battle, we found out that that one girl who was joining Miyagi in the battle actually did that to sort of win his heart over. She just takes off her glasses and turns into like a supermodel like in an instant, and they immediately fall in love, and it's just funny how their like love aura is still hanging out in the room itself. But my favorite thing about this week's episode is that scene that was teased at the very beginning with that one villainous character who just looks evil. He's wearing a cloak. They don't show him completely. And his mobile suit just looks like a composite Frankenstein monster of creepiness. He seems to have some sort of scythe weapon immediately in his hands, and I can't tell if this is like a riff on Death Scythe or not, because I still couldn't get a good look at him. They really shroud him in darkness. But he also seems to have these Ultron dragon arms erupting from his sides, and it's actually the ones from Endless Waltz. So it led me to believe maybe he's like a composite of like Gundam Wing or like Wing Endless Waltz characters, or maybe just a lot of other various ones. I'm going to have to look at the scene again, but they intentionally keep it very shadowy so you can't see it quite yet. And he's the one who basically breaks Yuma down. He's the one who tells him that he has no talent for Gunpla and sort of puts him into his like weird funk that he has to get out of in this episode. So I'm really looking forward to the interesting dynamic between the three-man team of Try. I just realized too that the series like name itself, Try, is sort of a riff on Try, 3 characters. And, you know, I love the whole red, blue, yellow aspect, you know, it gives me total Pokemon feels. I'm just really loving this series. Everything about it is great. The animation, the artwork, the fan service, the mobile suits, the characters are funny, Mr. Raw returning, the fact that Domon Kashu might be in the show. I'm pretty freaking excited for this show. I really was surprised by the first season, and it looks like the second season is just getting ready to blow me away all over again. So, if you're looking for a fun show to watch this fall, check out Gundam Build Fighters Try. Even if you're not a big fan of the Gundam anime series, you're still going to enjoy a lot of the funny moments and the really cool action. So check it out. I'm giving this week's episode a 4 out of 5. It wasn't perfect, but it was still pretty freaking awesome. Check it out, guys. Awesome stuff. Thank you guys for watching my review. If you liked this video, make sure and give it a thumbs up. And before you guys leave, please tell me what you thought about this week's episode of Gundam Build Fighters Try. Did you like the brand new opening? Did you have a favorite mobile suit from this week's episode? Please tell me. And also, before you guys leave, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. You can do that by clicking on the icon right up here. You can also follow us on Facebook and on Twitter.